Hey, you're here for another Tuesday 10 Talk, aren't you? Well, I'm just here making sure that Santa can get to our place because, we don't have a chimney. So he's got to come through a door or our apartment. I don't know. We can never tell. We're always sleeping. Anyway, I figured I'd talk about Santa on this Tuesday 10 Talk. He's been in a lot of movies. Some good, some bad. Some funny, some not so funny. I think it's more fun to talk about the movies that are like, really? Santa did those? Than the ones we all know and love. So go downstairs, have an eggnog or a glass of water, and I'll be right there with you. Oh, sorry, it took a little bit longer. Sorry, had a lot of snow up there, had to get it done. I hope you guys got yourself some eggnog, and may or may not be spiked, mine. So, now it's time for some silly Santa cinema. And my movies may not be something that you dislike. You might like some of these movies, and that's okay. We all have our opinions, but these are some of the movies that I don't really need to ever watch again. Starting off with Surviving Christmas, and sometimes good actors make bad choices. In this case, he is coming off a movie a year ago, and Sleigh was not Ben Affleck's best movie, and this was still not one of Ben Affleck's best movies. This was a rough patch for him. Anyway, he plays a obnoxious young millionaire who asks a family to spend Christmas with him in his old house after he gets dumped by his girlfriend. Now, the first hint for me that this was not going to be the most fun flick to watch was in the title sequence. There was a shot of Granny, somebody's Granny, making gingerbreads with unhappy faces on them. Who does that? Of course, then she goes and sticks her head in the oven. For some reason I do not know. The next reason was that Ben Affleck spent most of the movie with really bad bedhead. I don't mean to offend any hairstylists or anything, but maybe he was supposed to be like that. And that kind of gives you an idea of what happened. Sadly, James Gandolfini and Kathleen O'Hara somehow got swindled to be in this movie. Although James Gandolfini did get the Sopranos-style bop Ben Affleck on the back of the head with a shovel. Maybe he enjoyed that. I don't know. So, the good thing that did come out of this movie is that Jon Favreau was actually offered the chance to direct this movie. He turned it down for Elf. Yeah, we came out winners in that one. Sure did. Next up, I did not see this movie. I just read about it, and I thought I had to add it to it because it's so bad that I'm never going to watch it. But you may be intrigued. And that is the 1964 Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Yes, you heard it right. Santa goes to Mars. And if you ever watched Mystery Science Theater, the guys that sat in the theater and just tore really bad movies apart with their own commentary, they did this to this movie, and I'm pretty sure that version is better than watching the movie in and of itself. But basically, Santa goes to Mars. He's actually kidnapped by Martians who take him to try and give Christmas to their little Martian kids. And unfortunately, this movie probably didn't have a big budget because not only is the story bad, but so are the costumes. Now, there's movies that you just don't mess with. I don't care what you say about sequels or what have you, or who wants to remake something. But you do not mess with A Christmas Story. And sadly enough, somebody recently decided to make A Christmas Story 2. Now, this one went straight to DVD, deservedly so. And the movie actually is only 5 years later. Ralphie's now in high school. He's the only one that looks different, though. He's the only one that has aged. The parents look younger. And Randy looks the same. The same goofy kid. Okay. Now this time, instead of wanting a Red Ryder BB gun, he wants what every 16-year-old wants. And that's a new car. And we also have the voiceover that they stole from the classic first movie. This one didn't really work for this. Not at all. For the rest of the movie, for the main part of the movie, they steal every joke and every good scene about A Christmas Story. Now, if you're going to make a sequel, you make it your own. You don't try and make the same movie again. And Daniel Stern had whatever he did with his voice, whatever he was trying to do with his voice, oh, it hurt my ears. I think I started to bleed. This is 85 minutes that you're better left shoveling snow off your deck with a spoon. Now we're on to the first of two movies with wrestlers turn actors, or at least trying to turn actors. And the first one is Santa with Muscles. Now, Hulk Hogan in this movie is the one who gets to try his hand at acting and at the same time dons the nice red suit. And aren't we lucky? But you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but I did. And the opening title sequence, the camera crane shot, so shaky. You knew you were in for a ride. And then the first line that Hulk Hogan ever says, "Never stop to smell the roses." He probably did that better. So I knew where I was headed with this one. Eventually, almost 20 minutes into the movie, Hulk Hogan's character gets hit on the head, has a little slight amnesia, thinks he's Santa Claus, and goes on a kind of vigilante spree. And somehow ends up in this orphanage with kids, which includes Mila Kunis. So, reasons to watch this movie, besides Mila Kunis, as a youngster, little Mila Kunis. You have Don Stark, who would also later star with her in That 70s Show, and Garrett Morris, who's funny anytime, even in this movie. Reasons not to watch this movie? Everything else. Now, if you put an all-star cast together, it doesn't always mean you're going to get an all-star movie. In this case, 4 Christmases. You have Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon as a couple, and is spending Christmas going around to their 4 families, and the craziness that ensues with that. A movie that also has Jon Favreau in it. And despite the talent in this movie, this one fell flat on their faces. Now, this one may have had a little bit of a disadvantage because it was started filming right when there was a writer's strike. And when that happens, you can't make any changes to a movie, no matter how bad it is. So apparently, from the screenwriter to the director to the cast, they all contributed to this movie by stories of their own Christmases, and also improv a lot. And so there you go. Usually movies like that don't end up very well, and this one did not. Okay, this one doesn't necessarily have Santa, or it's not really about Santa, but it had to be included. Because you got to include a movie about a snowman when it's really bad. In this case, Jack Frost. And I'm not talking about the one that was with Michael Keaton. This one came out a year before it. And this is about a serial killer, Frosty the Snowman. This guy, on his way to death row, goes and gets into an accident and is spewed with radioactive material and falls in a snow pile. And somehow becomes a killer Jack Frost. And he goes on his killing spree where he kills all the people that were responsible for sending him to death row. And some other people just for good measure. In the town of, wait for it, the town of Snow Mountain. Not very original, are we? A very B-grade slasher flick. However, the one good redeeming character of this movie is that it's not very gory. People die, but there's not a lot of blood. I don't know if because they didn't have the money for blood or because they were trying to maybe somehow let kids watch this. Not really sure. But nonetheless, the coolest part about this movie was the way they actually ended up killing him. And what they did when they actually finally did kill him and they knew what they had to do with him. Of course, it sets up a sequel, which apparently there was. But you will never find me watching it. Unless I'm... No. Well, I will not be watching it. Not even for you guys. Love you, but no. Maybe next year. No. The opening 4 minutes of Santa Sleigh has James Caan, Fran Drescher, and Chris Kattan, and a few other people who we don't care about. Because after those 4 minutes, they're no longer in this movie. Lucky for them. And this comedy / horror flick comes at us, and this is the second movie where a wrestler tries to become an actor, and Bill Goldberg dons the Chris Claus outfit and kills them all. And then he goes on some crazy ass killing spree, serial killer spree after that. Yeah. My favorite part of this movie was the Santa Claus getting into a bar fight in a hick bar with a very, very bad soundtrack to go with it. Now, I will recommend this movie if you are looking for a movie so bad that it's funny, because you're going to laugh a lot through this movie if you choose to watch it. This next one offends me that it was even made. And I am a Christian. Saving Christmas. There's not really a best part of this movie, but it tries to be the beginning of this one where Kirk Cameron is sitting in his chair by a tree in a fireplace, just talking to you about why Christmas has been so wronged. And even talks about his winter beard. I knew right there I was in for a doozy, but then the credits rolled and I saw that this was produced by Liberty University. And I knew I should just turn it off right then, but I had to see it. And I regret it. But that tells you all you need to know about Saving Christmas. And a very preachy, horrible production value, a cheesy, bad-tasting hip-hop dance numbers in the middle, which to me was really pretty offensive. And for among other reasons, it was pretty much done by all the white people who can't dance. And then a weird car sequence that kind of filtered throughout the movie. And then Kirk Cameron has the nerve to have his voiceover throughout the whole movie that just takes you right out of the movie. Saving Christmas. I watched it, so you don't have to. And now we come to what I consider the worst of this silly Santa cinema. Silent Night. Now, why is this the top of my list? Well, for one, it's a really bad movie. Really bad. Two, you don't kill children in a movie. You don't kill children in a movie about Santa Claus. Third, it makes Santa Claus a killer. Who does that? Who does that? Santa Claus is not a killer. So the story is of police in this Midwestern town are searching for a serial killer who's dressed as Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. Sounds easy enough. And it just goes batshit crazy from there. In fact, with the ending, the killer confrontation scene was bathed in red light. And not only was the killer Santa, but there was another Santa in there. It just looked bad. And then there was a lot of blood in this movie, but it was all some alien blood. I don't know whose blood it was in every person who died. Even the wonderful Malcolm McDowell as the sheriff could not save this remake. It's actually a remake from itself. As one reviewer that lives with me described the reveal, the killer reveal, it wasn't all that. And yes, I made her watch it with me. The best thing about this movie was the score from Kevin Reichel. Never heard of him before, but he did a good job with the score. Everything else about this movie was trash. And that is why that is my worst silly Santa cinema. I hope you've enjoyed this time with me going through some really bad movies related to Christmas and Santa Claus and a little snowman here and there. I hope you have a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate, whenever you celebrate it. It is a tough one for many of us. And many of us aren't able to do the things we usually do this time of year, see the people we usually see this time of year. So make the best of it, make the most of it, and have fun, and be sure to smile, because damn it, we need to smile right now, and we just need to have fun as we just leave this year behind. So cheers to you, and to your loved ones, and to all your friends. Thanks for watching. Sorry, it took a little bit longer, a lot of snow up there. Glad you got some eggnog. Cheers. Hey, look, an easy place to find all my Tweet Talks and my Tuesday 10 Talks. Thanks.